Hey everybody, it's your girl Nell, and welcome to another episode of Simply Nell's Tiny Studio. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here today. Please make sure that before you leave the tiny studio, you like, share, and subscribe this video because this lets the YouTube guys know that there are people who are interested in seeing good TV and good content here on YouTube. So thank you so much for being a subscriber, and thank you so much for watching the video. Please also consider becoming a sustainable member of the Tiny Studio. This month, you can become a Tiny Studio member for only $1.99. So please hop on board and hang out with me behind the scenes here in the Tiny Studio, or what I like to call the Tiny Studio Lounge. So how have you been doing? I hope that you're having a fantastic Tuesday. I'm having a stupendous Tuesday. It's been a great Tuesday. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to complain. First things first, happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. And who cares what Google is doing? Because over here in the Tiny Studio, I'm going to let you know what time it is. And February is Black History Month. March is Women's History Month. You know, screw Google. Google suck. Google, and I know that Google and YouTube are, all owned by the same people, but I'm going to still use this platform to tell truth to power. That's how it goes around here in these parts. And I'm just letting you know flat out that Google is wrong for what they're doing. I wrote down what a representative for Google said regarding the reason why they have gotten rid of putting on the Google Calendar Black History Month, Indigenous Peoples Month, Pride Month, what else? Women's History Month. The reason why Google says that they are getting rid of that feature of the Google Calendar is because it's not sustainable. What Google executives have stated is that it just takes too much time to get or to put all of these different special days. It's just too much to put all of these days onto the Google Calendar. And Google is not exclusive to the United States. So you have Google Japan, Google China, Google India, and Google is saying we have to keep up and we have to make sure that we place different special months that are designated for different things. We have to do this in all the countries that we're in, and right now it's just not sustainable anymore for us to do that. So we are not going to put special months or specially set aside designated months for whatever. We're not going to do that anymore. But what I would like to know is if Google China, Google India, Google Africa, or Google Ghana, I want to know if Google has stopped designating different special months of the year for those countries as well, and not just for the United States. Because what they're saying is that it's not sustainable or scalable to keep putting or to continue placing Black History Month and Pride Month and Women's History Month and Indigenous Peoples Month onto their calendar. They said it's not scalable, which means what they're saying is that it is, as far as funding goes, as far as finances go, that it's too much money. They're spending too much money putting these designated special months onto Google Calendar. And they're using this excuse that, like I said before, that there are other countries that they have to do the same thing with. In Google India, they have designated days set aside that they have to place onto the Google Calendar. But what I want to know is, since Google executives are saying that this is not a scalable thing, it's not a sustainable thing to continue to put Black History Month on the calendar, to continue to put Pride Month on the calendar, Indigenous Peoples Month on the calendar, I want to know, are they going to cease doing that in other countries as well? That's what I want to know. I want to know, is this practice just exclusive to the United States, or is this something that they're going to be doing, period, and globally? And what my personal thoughts are is that this is just a United States type of thing, because for the last 4 or 5 months, corporations here in the United States have been acquiescing or bending the knee to the Trump administration. Google has also gotten rid of their DEIA policies, so this whole thing, which I am beginning to feel as if it's a lie, this whole thing, oh, well, it's not sustainable anymore for us, or scalable anymore for us to continue to put Black History Month on the calendar, or put up Indigenous Peoples Month on the calendar, or put Pride Month on the calendar for the month of June. I'm beginning to feel that it's a bunch of bull. It's a lie. And this is really about fealty and bending the knee to, 45, now 47, 34-time convicted felon Donald Trump. This is about fealty to him. This is about being loyal to the administration. I do not believe that it costs a bunch of money to put Black History Month into the Google Calendar. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. And I would be curious. I would like to know if Google is going to stop this practice across the board for other countries as well. That's what I would like to know. I have hair on my dress, but that's my personal thing. That's what I would like to know. And I just really feel that, like I said, this is just a bunch of hooey, and that this is a lie, and this is just nothing more than bending the knee to Donald Trump. That's what it really is. It's nothing more than that. But you can erase those things from the calendar. All right. That's Google's prerogative as a corporation. However, in the hearts of the people of which those specially designated months have a meaning for, you're not going to erase that. Just like March is Women's History Month. I don't need a Google Calendar to tell me that. I know that. Okay. March is also Poetry Month. So you're not going to erase that from me. I already know that. I know this, and I will continue to move in a way that signifies that March is Women's History Month, just like February is Black History Month. You're not going to ever be able to tell me that February is not Black History Month. Okay, you just not. Just like June is Pride Month. You're not going to be able, it may not be on the calendar saying Pride Month, but I know it's Pride Month in June. That's just the way it is, So I really think this whole DEI discussion, this thing about, oh, we're being divisive. You're being divisive with Lettucey singing the Black National Anthem, or the Negro National Anthem. That's just divisive. No, that's not divisive. That's inclusive. That's inclusiveness. And what the America of today is about divisiveness. What the America of today is about bringing back white supremacy in its entirety across the board, within government and on Wall Street. That's what it's coming to, Wall Street, because when I say Wall Street, that is commerce, and then religion. And religion is tied up into all of this too, because most of the people that Donald Trump is dealing with, commingling with, the people that have put him in the position that he is in today are Christian nationalists. All right, Christian nationalists have brought the religious aspect also, or the religious component, to white supremacy. All right, because remember, when you think back on our history here in America, how was it that white Americans or white colonists felt comfortable about owning other human bodies, especially black bodies? They felt comfortable in doing that because they believed, according to the Bible, that they had that God-given right to own slaves. They believe, I mean, what is that? What was that chapter in the Bible? I mean, that Bible book. I think his name was I can't think of it. It starts with an O. And in that chapter or that book of the Bible, I don't know, I think it was the apostle Paul was telling a slave that the slave should be obedient to their master. And that was a particular, if you know the scriptures that I'm talking about, let me know in the comment section. The apostle Paul was telling this slave, whose name started with an O, that he needed to be in subjection or obedient to a slave master. And that particular line and verse was used by the colonists, the slave owners, to justify slavery. And they would drill that into their enslaved, to let their enslaved know that the position that they were in was a God placed position, and that God placed them in a role of subservience, and that God placed the white man and his, woman, wife, mistress, concubine in a position of authority over them. So when we think about white supremacy, we have to think about all the components that go along with it. We have to think about the governmental part of it. We have to think about the commercial aspects of it, and then we have to think about the religious parts of it. And the religious parts go hand in hand with fomenting the algorithm of white supremacy. Okay, so Donald Trump, he has all of these people in his pocket. All of these people, Christian nationalists, Wall Street, all of these people are bending the knee to him. And so in many areas of American life, this is what we're going to find, the resurgence of white supremacy. But I'm going to tell you one thing also, when we the Super Bowl Sunday, we weren't really, this household, we wasn't really, into it because, our guys, the Lions, was not in the Super Bowl. So we didn't have a skin in the game. We could care less who won. We could care less who was playing, and we could care less who actually won the game. But big ups to the Philadelphia, to the Eagles. Big ups to them for winning. However, what I enjoyed about Super Bowl Sunday was that it was blackety black. It was blackety black. From the national anthem being sung, and I can't think of the young gentleman's name at this time, but from the opening of the national anthem, and then you had the black national anthem first. And no, that wasn't the first thing that happened, though. I think there was something else. I think that anyhow, I believe you had America the Beautiful was sung, okay, by a beautiful African American sister. The Black National Anthem was sung by my girl Lettucey, and didn't she sing that song down? Yes, she did. She held back a little bit. She didn't want to destroy you. But when she hit that note, when she started hitting those high notes, those soprano notes, she tore that song up. I got chills listening to her, as you knew I would. And then you had the national anthem being sung. those were all black artists. Okay, so everyone that sung the opening for the Super Bowl, they were all African American. Then when you actually got into halftime, everyone on the field for Kendrick Lamar's performance were black. There was not a white face to be seen out there on that field. Everybody was black. And that is revolutionary within itself. Okay, and speaking about revolution, what did Kendrick Lamar say? He said that the revolution would not be televised. Okay, that was a key thing that he said. And then he said the revolution will be televised. And then at the end of his performance, he said, turn the TV off. Yes, the revolution will be televised. If you are not familiar with the late, great ancestor Gil Scott-Heron, you need to pick up some of his stuff. You can find him on YouTube. You can find the late, great Gil Scott-Heron on Spotify or any source that you use for music, that you go to for music. Pick up some Gil Scott-Heron, child. When I was a young girl, back growing up in the 70s, Gil Scott-Heron was all over our radio. I lived in the city of Detroit, so people consider him a jazz artist. He was a poet, but he was also, a musician and a singer. So a lot of his music would be played on this channel called WJZZ, which was the jazz station in the city of Detroit, the premier jazz station, the only jazz station in the city. But Gil Scott-Heron would come to Detroit and perform. And when you hear his music, he has a very distinctive voice. One of the songs that he made was called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. And I should read some of it to you. How about that? Like I said, Gil Scott-Heron was a remarkable poet. Just remarkable. I'm going to pull it up for you because I don't like I do not like to tell you something that's inaccurate. So let me read it to you. The revolution will not be televised. And that's why I'm reading this to you, because for a reason. Okay, so just hang in tight with me. Hang in there with me. Okay. This is what Gil Scott-Heron, this is his poem, or this is the song. He says, the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spiro Agnew. To eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run, or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still lives of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on search for tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news, and no pictures of hairy-armed women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song would not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Keys, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live. That is written by the great Gil Scott-Heron. The revolution will not be televised. And Sunday, Kendrick Lamar said that the revolution will indeed be televised. The revolution is live. The revolution appeared at the Super Bowl halftime show. Yes, it did. A lot of people were saying that they loved it. A lot of black people were saying they loved it. There were some who did not get it, did not understand what was going on. And then you have the usual white faction. They were already pissed off because, Ledisi was singing the national black anthem. But other than that, a lot of people did not understand and felt that, hey, this was like the worst Super Bowl ever. Well, I'm guessing it would be the worst Super Bowl ever to some if they did not understand what was happening, if they did not understand what was going on. The symbolism of the Super Bowl of the halftime show is what got me. My children listened to Kendrick Lamar and they knew all the lyrics to the songs and whatnot. But what I was paying attention to was not just the young man and the way he had mad rapping skills. Okay, just mad, off the chain rapping skills. What I was thinking about mostly was the things that I saw, like Samuel Jackson as Uncle Sam. And to me, Samuel Jackson had like this dual thing going on because he wasn't just Uncle Sam, but in many words and in many ways, he also portrayed Uncle Sam as in a black man form as Uncle Tom, because there were moments when he would say, you got to play the game. You can't say this because you're going to be ghetto. You got to play the game. And Uncle Sam, the American government, when it comes to African Americans here in this country, in order to get anywhere, we have to play the game. I think the other day when I was talking to you about degrees, have a black person having a degree, and how about black people in DEI? When that unfortunate situation happened with the plane crash over Potomac, you had certain senators and you had 45, now 47, 34-time convicted felon Donald Trump say that DEI was the cause of that plane crash, making it seem as if Black Americans are not capable of flying a plane. That with this whole DEI thing, the fact that the American government and different companies and corporations are giving African Americans a hand up, which white people and white supremacy say it's a bad thing. White supremacy will have you think that you're giving, or that DEI is giving Black people who are uneducated, unskilled, unmotivated, unintelligent, and ignorant jobs. That DEI is giving Black people who are unqualified, or not just unqualified, or underqualified for a position simply because, or simply based on the color of their skin, which is not true. Every African American person knows that we have to be not one time, not two times, but possibly 3 times as good as the average white person to be able to gain employment. Black people already know, African Americans already know, that in order to make it in the corporate America, corporate world, that we have to be highly educated. We have to be highly skilled. Okay, our resume has to be almost 3 feet long in order to gain that position that we're going for. And 9 times out of 10, we don't get that position. We do not receive it. If this has happened to me before. Sometimes I have been the most educated person in the room. And there have been other candidates for positions that were not as educated as I, who did not have the experience that I had, but I did not receive the job. Why? More than likely because I was Black and I was a woman. That is the America that I've lived in all of these years, 50-something odd years. So what DEI was supposed to do was supposed to level the playing field to, when you see an application and you have 50 applications that are from possibly white applicants, and you have, let's say, 20 applications from African American applicants, look at the 20 applications first and pick out some of those, and then pick out a few from the white pile and other, and look at both of the qualifications and pick the best ones for the position. Be inclusive. Don't just pick your best people from the white pile and then put the African American applicants into the circular file or the round file, which is the trash. This is what diversity, equity, inclusion was supposed to mean to the African American community. But we have now found out that when it came to benefiting from DEI, we were again the last on the totem pole, or the totem pole, to gain any benefits. We were down at the bottom of gaining any benefits from DEI. So first you have white women who were benefiting. Then you had other minorities who were benefiting, and then you had people who were disabled who were benefiting from diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, for me, DEI became another one of those words that became synonymous with Black. Just like we had critical race theory. Remember how that was a buzzword? No, first you had woke, okay? That became synonymous with, being aware that there are inequalities and inequities in the American system. All right. Then you had critical race theory. Critical race theory became a buzzword because what critical race theory really was, or really is a study of foundational racism and how it is built into the structure of America. But then the powers that be, Republicans or Trumpers or whatever we call in this group of people that are now in power, critical race theory began to look as if, we're just giving Black people handouts, undeserved handouts. And critical race theory, the way people like DeSantis down here in Florida used it, and woke, it's just ridiculous. Try to use those things, turn those things into bad things, or as like some type of bat to be over the head of black people. Then from critical race theory, from woke, you had critical race theory, and now you have woke, critical race theory, and now you have DEI. Here we go again. Here we go again. What is this thing that white America have against black people? Okay, what is it? Why does white people have such a hard on for black people? What did we do to you? That's my question. What did we do to you? We didn't do anything. Our ancestors were minding our own businesses over in Africa when you guys decided that you could hack it on your own over here, or over in the other colonies that the Spanish built up. You decided that, I don't want to do all this work. Let me grab some people who will be able to do this work for us, or for me. Let me bring them over. But let me bring over the best of the best. Not just any old Africans. Let me bring over the best of the Africans. Because I know that they'll be able to help us do what we got to do. And then we get them over here. We're not going to keep them as indentured slaves or indentured servants. Well, we're not letting these people go. We're going to keep them enslaved generationally. This is what makes slavery in North America. This is what makes it in South America as well. This is what makes it so hideous. It's the fact that this wasn't your ordinary slavery or being enslaved where you could work it off and eventually, bam, be free and enjoy your freedom. This wasn't that type of slavery. This was a different kind of slavery. This was a slavery that was woven into the fabric of the United States. It was woven into the laws and the foundation of democracy. It was only supposed to be a democracy for white people. Okay? It wasn't supposed to be a democracy for people who look like me. That's what made slavery such a hideous, or what did Thomas Jefferson call a peculiar institution? Because it was not something that, this was something that was woven into the fabric of the country. And now that African Americans are free and have been free since 1863, but officially 1865, white people have been perpetually angry with black people since that day. Since the end of the American Civil War, white people have had a hard on for black people, even though we've done everything. We've done everything to win you guys respect. We don't expect white people to hand us shit. Okay? That's not what we expect. What we expect is, what we deserve is our respect. That's what we deserve. That's what we have earned in this country, is the respect of white people. However, white people just refuse. You guys, some of you, if you're watching right now, your brethren, you guys just refuse to give black people the respect that we deserve. Because yes, as you saw with the Super Bowl, the American flag, America itself, was built off the backs of black people. If you notice the symbolism of the flag out there on the field at halftime in New Orleans this past Sunday, you notice that the dancers, they were in red, they were in white, and they were in blue, right? When they came together to form the flag, which is the Union of America, they formed it with their backs bent over. Mm-hmm. Because America was built on the backs, the bent backs of the African enslaved and their progeny. That's a fact. You may not want to face it. You may not want to deal with it. You may say to yourself, my white brethren and sisterin, you may say, what does that have to do with anything? It has a lot to do with everything. It has a lot to do with everything. That's why the symbolism of Kendrick Lamar's performance was just brilliant. It was just brilliant. I know I'm leaving off things. How about the statement? How about when you heard the song, when I hear music, it makes me dance? I mean, what did you think about that? What does that exactly mean? What it meant was that a lot of people expected the Super Bowl to be entertaining. A lot of people want Black people to just entertain them, to perform for them, to make them happy. Black people have been used to not only build this country and to prop it up, but we've also been placed in a situation where we have to entertain the progeny of the slave master. And a lot of people wanted that for the Super Bowl halftime. They wanted to be entertained. When they hear the music, they want to dance. But Kendrick Lamar let you know you weren't just going to hear the music, that you weren't just going to dance to the music, but that he was going to teach you something through the music. Because Black people, we're not here just simply for your entertainment. That was a blaring message during the halftime show. Another message that I felt that was really, really, really strong was when he talked about 40 acres. Where's that? Where's our 40 acres and a mule at? Where's that? Spike Lee thanked Kendrick Lamar for using that statement, 40 acres and a mule. Not only that, Sam Jackson is a close friend of Spike Lee. And, you know, that 40 acres and a mule, that is the name of Spike Lee's production company. What is the significance of 40 acres and a mule? As a matter of fact, let me read to you what Spike said in reference to 40 acres and a mule. He talked about it on Instagram today, and let me see if I can find it so I can pull it up real quick for you. Okay, I'll read it to you right now. He said, well, he put this up yesterday. Spike Lee said, I want to thank my brother Kendrick for the 40 acres and a mule shout out, which has been the name of my production company since NYU grad film school. And I want to send a special shout out to my Morehouse brother, Samuel Jackson, who started this Super Bowl halftime extravaganza as Uncle Sam. And you might have seen him as Domodez in Chirac. That's a movie. The term 40 acres and a mule was a proposal for reparations to former enslaved African Americans in the aftermath of the Civil War. The proposal was intended to provide land and resources to help free people achieve economic independence. The promise was ultimately broken. Happy Black History Month. That was really, really, when I read this, I was like, yes. 40 acres and a mule. See, what the enslaved wanted who were freed, our ancestors wanted to be able to do for themselves. They wanted to be able to take care of their families. They wanted to be able to pursue life, love, liberty, and happiness. So what the former enslaved said was, give us land that we can work and we can take care of our families. That's all we need. We're already working the land. And our blood, sweat, and tears should be the equity necessary for you to give us that land. That's the least you could do, America, or white America. And so that was the proposal. And a general, I can't remember the name of the general, but he said, well, yeah, we're going to do that. We'll go ahead and we'll make sure that these the former enslaved have a piece of land, and they have a mule to work it, to help them work this land. And that is how we will handle the question of having all of these millions of Black people who no longer are attached to or connected to white supremacy in that manner. The question Abraham Lincoln had was, what are we going to do with all these people that we've just freed? What are we going to do? And so the answer was, give them a piece of land to work, let them put their families on it, and let them take care of themselves. And the former enslaved was like, yes, that's what we want. And guess what? President Andrew Johnson snatched that away after President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And since then, from that point to this one, African Americans, we have been struggling, child. We have been struggling. Collectively, we have struggled in this country because white people have a hard-on for us. I don't know if it's the envy, if it's the jealousy. Envy, jealousy. I have no idea and no clue why white people do not like Black people. I do not know. Maybe it's because we're the first people. Maybe because it's our resilience. Maybe because our bounce back is strong. I don't know what it is. Maybe when you go over into Egypt and you see those big, beautiful statues of Ramses I and II. You see the pyramids over in Giza. You know, you see you think of the diamonds and all of that stuff over there and over there in Johannesburg, South Africa, and you know, all the minerals and stuff and beauty of Africa. You get jealous because you see what our origins are, and you know our history. White people know our history. Black people, we don't know our history, but we have an extensive global history that begins with the advent of the first man and woman on this planet. So white people are very aware of who we are. You know, taking away something like Black History Month, that was beneficial to not just to us, but beneficial to white people too. Because you know, who invented the stoplight? A Black man. Who invented the iron? A Black man. I can just rattle off a list of things that Black people have done. You know, who was one of the architects and designers of Washington, D.C.? Benjamin Banneker, a Black man. Yeah. Who invented and patented the first tricycle? A Black person. I mean, I could just go on. I could look around the tiny studio and say, you know, a black person did that, invented that, a black person invented it. Most of the things that you use and you take for granted every day, an ingenious black mind came up with it. So maybe I answered my own question. Maybe that's the reason why white supremacy has a hard on for black America or for black people in general, because we're just fucking that good. We're geniuses. You give us an inch, we'll take the whole yard. And create a pyramid and stuff. Create a pyramid and slap it on in the middle of that yard. A pyramid that's just not a pyramid on the outside, but inside is complicated. Has mazes and rooms within it. Secret rooms. We created religion. What you know as religion today, that came from black, that came from us. So maybe that's the reason why white America has a hard on for us, for black people. But you know what? That's fine. Continue to hate and appreciate undercover. That's fine. You know, that's not going to stop anything, because black people, we're resilient, and we've been around for a very, very long time. You can't get rid of us, because you need us. You need our wisdom. You need our culture. You know, Greek philosophy, that's not Greek philosophy. That's African. That's Kemetan philosophy. You need us. All of your superheroes, you know, Superman, Wonder Woman, you know, a Zeus, Thor. Where they come from? They come from Africa. You know, you need us for entertainment. I could just go on, and I'm not. I'm through talking to y'all. But I really enjoyed the halftime show. If you get a chance, go back and look at some of that. Look at that halftime show. Again, it's 12 minutes of just pure. It's a study in black symbolism, in black pride, in black nationalism. And yes, the revolution is indeed and will indeed be televised, just like Kendrick Lamar said. But eventually, that revolution is going to hit the streets, like Gil Scott-Heron said. And when that happens, it's time to turn the TV off. Because there's going to be another kind of music that's going to be playing. And that music is not going to be designed to make you dance. Think about it. All right. So guess what? My book for this week, my book suggestion this week for Black History Month that you should have on your shelf right now is The Autobiography of Malcolm X, as told to the great Alex Haley. Alex Haley is the author of Roots. Now, this book, I first read it, and that's why it looks just ridiculous. I bought this back in the 90s, probably around 1991, 2, 3, somewhere in there. The Autobiography of Malcolm X. I was a part of the ASCAC, which is the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations, and one of the professors that, you know, some of my friends hung out with asked me had I ever read The Autobiography of Malcolm X. I said no, I had not. And so he suggested that I read it. And right around then, Spike Lee came out with the movie Malcolm X. So all of this kind of, for me, it was like an awakening of my senses of what it means to be a Pan-Africanist. It opened my senses to Pan-Africanism and what it means to be a Pan-African individual. And this is a really, really great book. And when you read it, for me, I had to read in spurts and sections because at some points I felt as if I could hear Malcolm talking to me or speaking to me, and I had to be careful. I had to put it down because it was so intense. Listen to this part of the book when he talks about his years as before he became who we know to be Malcolm X or El Hajj Malik Shabazz. He said, in another 2 years, I could have given them all lessons. But that night I was mesmerized. This world was where I belonged. On that night, I had started on my way to become a Harlemite. I was going to become one of the most depraved, parasitical hustlers among New York's 8 million people, 4 million of whom work, and the other 4 million of whom live off them. This was when he first got to town or got to New York, and that was how he felt and how he, what his thoughts were, how he became, eventually became a hustler, got involved in a lot of different things. And Malcolm is always quoted for saying that Black women are the most unprotected women on this planet. And a lot of people quote that. I'm misquoting it right now. But let me give you some of Malcolm's actual thoughts. And this is coming out of the autobiography of Malcolm X. These are his words. Okay, he said, I had learned early one important thing, and that was to always teach in terms that the people could understand. Also, where the nationalists whom we had fished were almost all men, among the storefront Christians, a heavy preponderance were women, and I had the sense to offer something special for them. Beautiful Black women! The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the Black man is going around saying he wants respect. Well, the Black man never will get anybody's respect until he first learns to respect his own women. The Black man needs today to stand up and throw off the weaknesses imposed upon him by the slave master white man. The Black man needs to start today to shelter and protect and respect his Black women. That is Malcolm X, or whom we know to be Malcolm Little, and also eventually El Hajj Malik Shabazz. So my book that you need to have my book suggestion that you need to have on your bookshelf and acquire this Black History Month is the autobiography of Malcolm X as told to Alex Haley. All right, here we go. It's a great book. And like I said, you cannot, and I've heard other people say it as well, you cannot read this book just straight through in one or two settings. You can't do it. You can't do it, especially if you're sincere and you have an open heart. You can only read this book in spurts, in sections, because he's literally talking to you. I don't know if anybody else felt like that, but I felt like he was talking to me. So I had to read a little bit, put it down, come back to it in a week or so, and, pick back up where I left off at. And then I would read some more, become, it's so intense, then put it down and come back to it later. And it's a great book. I advise everyone to read it. My children have read it. I know my siblings have read it. Please, 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 if you do not have this book in your library, acquire it. And if you've never read it, please go out and get it. Happy Black History Month to you. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And think about becoming a sustainable member of the Tiny Studio. And join me over in the members only lounge, the Tiny Studio Lounge, because we have fun over there. I was talking about some things that I will not talk about here. So if you want to know what I talk about, when I'm not here, if you would like to know, you got to join me in the Tiny Lounge, Tiny Studio Lounge, child. The Tiny Studio Lounge is where I tell a lot of things and I say a lot of things. Only privy to members. So I will talk to you next time here in the Tiny Studio. See you next time. Did I just say that? I must be getting tired. I will talk to you guys next time here in the Tiny Studio. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm your girl, Nell.